Hello everyone, and welcome to another Jungian analysis of the manga Berserk. Today we will be covering the symbolic and psychological meaning behind the character Puck through the archetype of the Fool. Puck serves as a catalyst for Guts' growth. Guts lacks the ability to see himself as a vulnerable individual, someone who is able to put himself in the place of looking like a fool, incorporating joyfulness and a sense of vulnerability, which is all symbolized through Puck as a psychic figure. Swiss psychologist Carl Jung noted the Fool archetype through studying ancient symbolism, African folklore, and fairy tales. He noted that the Fool serves as a catalyst for truth. He serves as the divine in some sense, the only individual capable of speaking out for the marginalized and overtly stating the flaws in the king's psyche. In medieval societies, the archetype of the Fool held a profound place in the collective imagination. The Fool, often portrayed as a jester or court jester, served as an intriguing and multifactored figure within the medieval courts. He embodied a unique role that allowed him to transgress social norms, challenge authority, and speak truths that others dare not utter. The Fool's position as an entertainer and comic relief granted him a certain degree of freedom, enabling him to openly criticize the powerful without facing severe repercussions. Through wit and satire, the Fool could unveil the hidden flaws, hypocrisies, and excesses of the nobility. In this sense, the Fool became an indispensable voice, representing the voice of the common people and acting as a safeguard against unchecked power. The Fool possessed a keen sense of observation and a deep understanding of human nature. His jests and antics often carried profound truths beneath their humorous facade. By employing sarcasm, irony, and clever wordplay, the Fool had the ability to expose the psychological and moral frailties of those around him. This piercing insight allowed him to bring about self-reflection and self-awareness, not only for the individuals in power, but also for the audience witnessing his performances. The Fool's unconventional behavior and unconventional wisdom distinguished him from societal norms. While others aimed for seriousness and conformity, the Fool embraced spontaneity, playfulness, and a willingness to challenge established conventions. He symbolized a realm of liberation, where one could temporarily shed the burdens of social expectations and explore alternative perspectives. Within the context of Berserk, Puck embodies the essence of the medieval Fool archetype. He serves as a catalyst for Guts' personal growth and development. Puck's lighthearted nature, infectious joy, and unflinching honesty brings a refreshing contrast to the darkness and brutality of the Berserk world, one that is necessary for psychic growth. Puck possesses an acute awareness of the human psyche. Through his interactions with Guts and other characters, he sheds light on their inner struggles, unspoken fears, and unresolved traumas. Puck's joyful demeanor and insightful remarks serve as a means to confront these psychological barriers and encourage the characters to embark on a journey of self-discovery and integration. Puck's role as a companion to Guts parallels the traditional Fools in providing emotional support and guidance to the troubled king. Puck's unwavering loyalty and unwavering belief in the potential for growth and transformation forces Guts to confront his own inner demons and find solace in vulnerability. He often states the truth of Guts' brutality and evil in a joyful manner, but this is hidden underneath sarcasm, poetic conversation, and coming from a place of admiration. The Fool can be combined with the trickster archetype, in which the individual uses their cunning verbal skills to trick the king into developing their truthful self and recognizing their sins towards the kingdom. This is a symbolic action in showcasing the development of the psyche through becoming vulnerable to one's unconscious, taking on the figure of the Fool in order to become closer to wholeness. You can see this represented through the Black Swordsman arc of Berserk, especially through the scenes with Puck, Guts, and Vargas. As Vargas is about to be executed by the Count, Puck begs Guts to save him, as he is truly a good man in an unfortunate circumstance. To this, Guts begins to share his philosophy about the weak and decides not to save him. In a burst of emotions, Puck states the following: "Guts, are you afraid? The old fella, fighting enemies he can't possibly defeat. You're afraid of him, aren't you? You are afraid to admit that you're also fighting a losing battle. You don't want to admit that you're just like him." After this statement, you see Guts go through a state of emotions, realizing the truth in Puck's statement. Just as Vargas' family, who was tortured and killed in front of him, Casca was taken away from Guts, and he was made to watch as Griffith violated her. Puck also asks Guts, "Why did you come here if you said you were not going to save Vargas?" And this brings forth the truth in Guts' psyche, which is that he's battling within himself, with this innate nature to be a savior. But he realizes that these traits are taken advantage of in his world, and must be shunned away as they are exploited by others. But the reality is that such traits will always persist in his psyche, and the true battle is for him to come to terms with this, and incorporate it in a healthy manner. This is a clear example of the wisdom of the Fool, and the ability of the Fool archetype to shine light on your shadow self. From Guts' perspective, he lacks the awareness that through shunning aside fear, shame, and a lack of emotional integration, these things do not just disappear from the mental plane, but rather hide in the corner and seep out into the material world through your actions, emotional reactions, and behavior, slowly telling yourself that you must integrate such aspects of your psyche in order to be whole as an individual. Almost all of the problems that individuals face in their life, especially existential and purpose-related concerns, relate back to this lack of integration of some part of your psyche. Often traumas play a role in shunning away incidents and events that you do not identify with, thus also shunning away integral parts of human behavior that are necessary and real within every person on earth. If you dig deep and think, you'll find an aspect of yourself that you refuse to accept. Maybe you are lazy, maybe you are stubborn, maybe you have attachment issues, or maybe you have unresolved sexual desires. Instead of integrating and making such desires conscious and accepting them as being a part of your ego, you refuse and push them aside. This is what Kentaro Miura is conveying to the audience. Berserk is not just a philosophical story about the good and evil of humanity. It is a deep and nuanced exploration of the psyche. Puck, through this lens, serves as a foundational piece of integration that is needed for Guts. The Fool is a part of every human's psychological development, and Kentaro Miura, the author of Berserk, incorporates this archetype to show the audience yet another aspect of psychological development, one that we incorporate in an unconscious manner, but never understand its relevance to the psyche through conscious effort. Berserk, in this sense, is the mental plane where the psyche of humanity is explored through each interaction, the storyline, and the character. Puck is an example of the exploration of one of the key archetypes that unconsciously shape human behavior. It is necessary to understand these archetypes and to identify their presence or lack of in your own identity. You must become a fool at the crossroads to your goals, desires, and psychological wholeness. When you realize you are incompetent, evil, and the burden of your family, you become a fool. Someone that is not only physically weak, but mentally at the lowest parts of the social hierarchy. But this realization is only possible if you take on the role of the fool and accept that this is a part of your journey and psychological growth. And following this process helps you take the steps towards individuation. Hope you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to my channel, and as always, take care everyone.